Hi everyone, welcome to Curse 20. I'm Cody. This is David. That's Zach. This is the online diary of a bunch of unprofessional D&D players. Today we're doing another episode of DM interviews. This time, my players will be interviewing me. David, Zach, who has the first question? Who would like to start?
I'll get started. My first question is something we talked about a little in one of our previous videos, talking about getting into character and stuff. I really would like to know how hard is it for a DM to get into the mind of multiple characters when you're getting ready for a session that you know is going to require 4 to 5 different NPCs of varying calibers of importance.
Well, I'm sure it's a different answer for different DMs. I'm sure if you ask somebody like Brendan Lee Mulligan, it's not hard at all, right? For me, it can be kind of a challenge, especially like my party, you guys can be kind of chaotic and unpredictable sometimes. So I'm not sure who you're gonna talk to or what direction you're gonna go, what NPCs I need to have planned. But I think so. I have my NPCs like broken down into like a couple of different tiers. I have major NPCs, so like NPCs I know are going to be there throughout the entirety of the story, and I do a lot of work like behind the scenes on like researching them. I'll like look up how other DMs have run them. I'll make a bunch of notes on them and how like I want them to fit into my world and how I think that they interact with it. And then I have like minor NPCs, which are like ones that I know are going to come up for a little while or once or twice or like reoccurring, but in a smaller role, like maybe like a shopkeep that you guys keep going back to. And I'll do a little work. I'll decide like, okay, I'll give him a name. Does he have a wife or kids? And he's lived in this town, especially in like Barovia. Like he's probably lived in this town his whole life. He probably knows the people around him. He probably has some type of information he can give you, but not much, right? And then I have to do what I call like oh shit NPCs. And that's when you're like, I'm gonna go ask that guy over there across the street about this. And then I'm like, okay. And that's most of the time when you guys are like, what's his name? What's his backstory? How long has he lived here? Does he have a last name? Does he have children? Does he have a wife? What does he do for a living?
Those are the only characters I actually care about.
And those are the one, and I have to make that all up on the spot, and then be like, and tell myself I gotta flesh this guy out later, and like I have to remember everything I said to make sure that it stays and like consistent, and there's no like plot holes or retcons I have to do in these characters, and I'm not the best at it. You guys have noticed. There's been a couple of times where I've been like, wait, hold on. Actually, I think it's this, and I've had to like in the moment retcon myself. So that's what I have to tell myself. It's like right now in Strahd, you guys are currently with Ismark and Jetland, right? And Ismark, right out of the gate, I knew was a major NPC. So I have a lot of backstory already prepared for him. So, and I've done a lot of work on how he feels and like his motivations and stuff like that. So I already have like, anytime you guys interact with him, I already have a bunch of guiding principles about how he's going to respond to you guys. And just based off of what I've decided his character is. Javelin was supposed to be a minor NPC, and he was supposed to pop up for a couple of times, and you guys have strung him along for the ride, and so like he's on like the teeter totter of slowly becoming a major NPC. So I've been doing more work behind the scenes. I have like a notebook. I obviously most DMs have a notebook, but I have a notebook, and so I have like a whole page. I'm like filling out for Devlin in my notebook.
He's not major, but he's major to us.
Major
Yes, and if he's major to you, I therefore now making him major to the story. Because my players' wants and needs are the most important thing to me in the campaign.
Is it a difficult thing to try and remember all of that about all the different characters? Like we've got Ismark, Irina, Jiblin, then obviously the varying levels of importance. Is it hard to remember it, or once you've got it kind of in your brain, is it easy to keep them separate?
It so far it's been easy to keep them separate, but so far like every major and minor NPC that you guys have met have been very distinct characters. So like Ismark and Irina, even though they're brother and sister, two very different characters. They want two very different things out of life, and they have two very different backstories, and and they have very different endings within the story that they're going to get to. And like I don't know what ending each one of them is gonna have, but I know that the set of endings that they have are different, right? And then so like, and Jevlin's a very distinct character. Even like the shopkeep in Barovia, who nobody liked, I thought was a dick, is a very different character, even though he's very minor, as opposed to the shopkeep in Valaki that silvered your guys' weapons, right? That guy was much more like willing to make money and much more to work with you guys and like gave you guys a little bit of information. While the shopkeep in Barovia is more of a, lack of a better word, just kind of a dick. So uh, it hasn't been hard yet to stay in the different mindsets. Like I said, where it gets hard is my oh shit characters. I feel like sometimes I'm like reusing the same skin or the same model for different oh shit characters. That's it does get a little difficult then. But once I do it, once I make that oh shit character, even if I use the same initial model for when you guys interact with him, and I just give him like a different name, I'll try to go back to that character in my notes and then write out something different from him. So if you ever interact with him again, it does feel like a separate character. I don't know if you guys have noticed anything like that, but like most of the time when you first interact with somebody I wasn't expecting you guys to, I'll just kind of use the same like style of speech. I'll use the same like style of answers. And then if you were to ever come back to him, I would have made him something more by then to have you interact with somebody different.
I wouldn't say I have noticed. I feel like you do a good enough job in that moment of that it's not glaring. So
Okay.
that then when we do go back, it more just feels like, we didn't give the character enough time before, but now we are giving the character more time to set.
And that, so like as a DM, that makes me super happy to hear. Like I don't the one like the best thing about being a DM is immersing you guys in the world and keeping you in that world. And like I want the world to feel alive. I want everything you do to feel organic. I want everything you do to feel like it has impact and meaning. I want everybody you meet to feel like it's a person and not like an NPC in a video game. You know, like if you play Skyrim and you go to like the first village, like Waterdeep or whatever, what's that first River Run? River Run, the first little village. You go to the NPC who's like the blacksmith guy. He's always there doing the same thing, saying the same stuff. I want you guys to come up to the NPCs and then be like, oh, his life is moving. Like things are happening to this person every time I come across him.
And I think, with these oh shit NPCs, you've done a great job of not making 13 different John Smiths.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I might use the John Smith template when you first talk to them, but I feel like it's even like thank you for bringing it up. But sometimes I feel like I do even a good job in the moment of like, okay, I'm using the John Smith, but as you guys are talking to him, in my mind, I'm changing him into somebody else, and then by the time you're done talking to him, it feels like a separate NPC.
That is how it feels for us,
Okay.
for sure. It doesn't feel like just that time.
Okay, that's good.
I guess kind of on a similar note there, when you're talking about what's happening when we're not playing and how you're saying that you like to make it feel like the world is alive, how many different paths and branches do you usually have going at any one time? Is it something where you've just got two or three different things that you're thinking of and running in the background, or is it 15, 20 different things like the meme of Charlie Day with the whiteboard, or is it a little easier? Is it a little more streamlined?
So that goes. That is okay. The answer is yes to both of those. Okay, I have two notebooks. One of those notebooks represents the Charlie Day meme. One of those, the other notebook represents a more streamlined path. Okay, and so, and I've labeled those notebooks for me, so I know what I'm writing about between session notebooks and a campaign notebook. So my session notebook is like what just happened, what do I think is about to happen, and how do I plan for it, and then like everything that has happened up to this point, right? So like you could read the beginning of my session notebook, and it would feel like you're reading a commentary on the book of Strahd, on the book of the Curse of Strahd, right? Because it's like me writing down everything you guys have done in this world, and then as I'm writing down, I'll make notes like make this happen, or they're heading here, or this is going, or this person Calathar said this to Jevlin. How does that? And then writing that down, that's just a quick note for me. And then I'll read those. I'll come back and read those notes later, and I'll look at my campaign notebook and be like, okay, well that branches out to here. Telling Devlin that
causes this to happen, this to happen, this to happen, and this to happen. Which one are they going to deal with, right? Or how are they going to interact with that? Locking Donovich in the basement, right? 100 different spider webs in one notebook. In the other notebook, I have one path I'm heading towards with that, and but you guys, it could all change. But I have a path I'm heading to with you guys dealing with the consequences of that action.
So I guess going off of the tree branches, how do you keep track of the tree branches of all of those major and minor NPCs and what the world is doing when we're not there?
So I probably don't take as many notes as I should. And I don't want to be that guy that just says I have it all in my head, but I really do have a lot of that in my head. Okay, I am obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons. I think about it almost 24/7, and I think about my world 24/7. I've taken 3 sentences of physical notes from our last session 2 months ago to today. Everything that I had planned has just been in my head, and I've been fine tuning it what I wanted it to be in my head up until today. So, like,
So you're not doing a bunch of rolls for stuff that's happening off screen.
That's
Are you
not-
just making the decisions of what's happening. Like how do I think that's part of the question there is
the answer is also yes to both of those. I do make rolls. I'll make rolls for things that are happening while you guys are playing, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's what happened there," right? But some of the things that happen, I feel like, okay, what narratively is just going to make the sense? That brings up a different subject about what roles are in D&D, and this could be a whole other video in of itself. But roles in D&D are essentially to decide what the DM cannot decide in the moment, right? So roles are, do you hit this person or not? It wouldn't be fair for me to decide if you hit or not. So we leave that up to the roles, right? Can you kick down this door? That's not up for me to decide, right? But also, wouldn't it be fair for you to be able to decide? Because I'm always going to be like, maybe you don't, right? And I like that tension. But you as a character would be like, I always get to kick down the door. I'm the fucking hero of this story, right? So we leave that up to the dice. There are some things in the world that I leave up to the dice because I really don't know how to make that decision on what is happening. There are other things where I'm like, this is what's this. If you were watching a movie or reading a book, this is the only logical way this could play out, right? Or here are 3 ways it could play out based off of decisions that they would make, and I just set those paths. If I leave everything up to the dice, we're not playing an immersive storytelling game. We're playing like a chance, like we're
just
just
a random.
we're playing a number generator, right? I have to have some type of creative control of where the story is heading, or there is no way to follow the book from beginning to end.
And I'll honestly say, from a player's perspective, that's refreshing to hear because I like that. I like knowing that you have an idea, you have a plan, you have some form of a thought of what you're wanting, but yet there are those things that are like, okay, I want this situation to arise, and then maybe now that this situation has arisen, even if it's off camera, off screen, I'm going to roll the dice to determine that situation. But you're getting to that point and then letting the dice decide versus never letting that situation develop at all.
Exactly. A lot of people are scared of the word railroad, right? As a DM, when I first started DMing, I was like, I cannot railroad my players. Like everything has to be their choice. Like they have to feel like they have total agency. And players, when they start playing D&D, they're like, I want total agency. I want complete control of everything that happens. As I've been DMing, I've only been DMing like a little less than a year total, right? But as I've been DMing, what I've come to decide is that players, kind of, whether they admit it or not, do want to be railroaded a little bit. Because you guys are, like I said, we are all doing immersive storytelling. And yes,
and collaborative
immersive storytelling. Yes, you guys want to feel like you have agency over the characters, like you are writing the story of this character. but you also want to know that there's going to be an end to, like, an ending, right? You want an ending to the story. So if I leave everything up to random chance, there is no ending to the story. If I let everything up to random chance, there is no possible way that we are playing Curse of Strahd. All we are doing is taking the bad guy from the book and then playing the game, right? You guys are not playing that campaign if everything's up to random chance. I have to push you in certain ways to get the story going.
So just a little bit of an example here. In Strahd, obviously,
Right.
he's a conniving, backstabbing, manipulative guy.
Sure. So you've heard.
When he is interacting with other characters off screen, there's no roles happening there necessarily. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. But a lot of times it's going to just be he charmed this one person, and that person is now doing what Strahd wanted him to do. I'm not rolling. I'm just saying that that's what happened.
Yes. Well, again, it's like it's 50-50, right?
Right.
Strahd charmed Isaac.
Yeah.
I had Isaac roll the saving throw in front of you guys. I rolled that roll in front of you. You guys didn't know what was happening, but in that session when you guys first met Strahd, or not Isaac, Ismark.
Yeah.
When Strahd charmed Ismark, I said, "Hey, Ismark's gonna make a roll," and I rolled it. Ismark failed his roll. I was giving Ismark an honest to God's chance to pass that roll. So yes, but you are right. There has been other times where I'm like, Strahd is just gonna do this because there's no way he wouldn't be able to do this, right?
And that's what makes it feel real, is what I kind of want to get to. It's like in a certain world with people that powerful and things like that, they are just gonna succeed sometimes, and that has to just be written in.
And here's the thing. What if I did leave everything up to random chance and I made all the rolls and I failed every single roll? So by the time you get to Strahd, he's this weak, pathetic, frail man, and you guys just push him over. You guys walk into his castle, push him over, and the story ends. How satisfying of an ending is that to you? Or do you want to go up against the devil and kill him? Right?
1,000,000%.
Exactly. Or die trying,
1,000,000%.
which is most
Already died once.
Kind of going off of where you were ending right there. For anyone that else wants to DM in the future, how are you balancing your battles to make them fair but also challenging?
As I did just say, you have already killed me once. And
I
got
would
us close to death many
argue that
times.
Dylan killed you.
Dylan did.
I would argue that Dylan's not the one who brought my strength to 0.
He just made
Um,
poor choices.
So your question in essence is how do I balance encounters?
Yeah.
Again, I'm kind of a new DM, so I'm not the best at it. I've had encounters, like I think I've told you guys, like, you guys fought those like Viking barbarian dudes on the road. I thought that fight was gonna be hard, and you mollywopped them. There was like 4 or 5 of them, and I think they did like a total of 20 points of damage. You were like slicing them down. You were casting fireballs or whatever the heck your cleric was doing at them. You mollywopped those guys, and then right after that, you went up against one guy, and you almost died, and everybody had to run away. And I was like, how did this even happen? The action economy was on your side.
Forgot about that.
So like, it is hard to encounter, and so like, I don't really budge dice rolls, like, and I don't. You have to know there's ways to balance an encounter without lying, right? Sometimes I'll have, especially now that I've learned, like, if I was to do better, like, let's go back to that Viking fight. As you guys were mollywopped them, it would have been really easy to say their friends in the crowd, like their second force jumps out, and then now the fight's a little bit harder, right? Now there's 3 more guys you have to fight. It's like their backup shows up, right? And then that, but then at the other time, the exact opposite of that, there was no way for me to change the door fight, the fight where you almost died. If you guys died, there was no what is that? Dex Ex Machina.
Yeah. There's
Yes. Yeah, there was no narrative handout in that fight. You guys made a move, didn't think you were gonna make that move, and then you were dealing with the consequences of that move, right? And there was just no way for me to like pull you out of that. But then you guys made the right choices and you got out of there, right? But then you go to like the winery fight.
So you're saying we made the right choices. You heard it here, folks. He said we made the right choice.
I said you made the right choice and got out of there.
I heard we made the right choice. He said it twice.
Okay, maybe the right choice is. We'll see. It could have been the right choice. Who knows? You haven't dealt with those consequences yet, right?
Maybe it was the righteous choice.
I don't know. Righteous choices. Far fetched. I think. So like. Okay, like take that fight at the winery.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of things. I had felt your guys' fighting, right? If that makes sense. I have already been in combat with you. Like, think of it like MMA terms. I've already sparred with you guys. I knew how you guys fought. I knew who generally went first in initiative orders. I knew what type of decisions you like to make, what type of decisions Dylan likes to make in a fight, and what type of decisions you guys like to make in a fight. I knew at this point some of the powers and abilities each of your characters had and which ones you guys like to use the most. I knew Dylan, this character at the time, had just gotten his werewolf curse and knew he wanted to use it. So I knew I could take advantage of him wanting to use his werewolf form. And so like I'm like, okay, how do I deal with that in this situation, right?
Encourage it, but not force it.
Right, exactly. And so then it's like, okay. And then I was like doing them, like just like looking at it. I'm like, there's this many of these guys, this many of these guys, this many guys to have this. If they make the right decisions, they'll have like the Ravens backup. They can get this backup. If you guys,
Broke the staff.
the fight's almost over right away, right? And then there is no fight, right? And then you're just dealing with the druids over there, and then it's a mollywop of a fight for you guys, right? So like there was a way for that fight to be super easy, and then you guys went the wrong way about it, and it was awesome. That was, I think, our best fight that we've ever had. You guys all were like within 5 points of dying or whatever it was, right? We were all like,
All felt super powerful. All felt super vulnerable.
right,
All in the same fight.
right. And so that was one of those ones where it's like, okay, I knew you guys weren't strong enough for the fight. I also knew that narratively wise, you guys were close enough to a level up that if I gave you a small encounter first, I could justify giving you the level up. So I threw some fucking wolves at you. And you guys fought the wolves. And I also knew that just giving you the level up, I like looked at, knowing my players at this point, I looked at it and I said, okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for watching another episode of Curse 20. Please remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell button to keep up to date with future videos. Also, keep a lookout for our future Twitch channel. Have a good night and happy rolling.